Are you ready for the Horror Shed podcast starting now?
Welcome back, everyone, to the Horror Shed podcast. I'm Jared, co-host. I'm going to send it over to South Jersey Jason, the other co-host. He's down here.
What's going on, guys? Glad to see you guys back on and looking at these three handsome men.
Look at that. Gorgeous 4K. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Today, we're going to go over something pretty cool from the horror video games and our interview with Pete, who's one hell of a gamer. So let's kick off that discussion.
Hey, what's going on?
Not
Pete,
much,
how
man.
are you today?
I'm doing great. There's a couple new games. It's funny we're talking about horror. There's a couple new games that came out today that are kind of horror related. There's this game that came out called Metal Hellsinger, where it's if Doom Eternal was like a Guitar Hero game.
That's pretty cool.
So you have to shoot to the rhythm, and they got like Lamb of God, Trivium, System of a Down, Arch Enemy. They got like the singers to do custom songs for the game. So as you shoot and you shoot on rhythm, you do extra damage, and like the singing gets intensified. So it makes you want to do good.
This is on. Do you get your games from Steam? Is that how you get your games?
So I get them through Steam or Windows 10. Or gaming for Windows Live, but it is on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. I don't know if it's on the Switch. The Switch is kind of weird with games because if there's like blood or violence, they're kind of against it, but they have Doom Eternal on the Switch, so I don't really get it. So
yeah, I'm not so much a PC gamer. Everyone's like, you gotta, do the PC because consoles are like thing of the past. Jared, do you console or PC game?
I do a little bit of both. I love PC gaming. It's out of this world, but I'm usually multitasking, so I'll usually throw my Xbox Series X on while I'm, doing the podcast or playing with the haunt stuff, so I could do both.
Awesome. All right, so Pete's on because he gave us a list of his top 8 all-time favorite somewhat horror PC games. So we're going to start from number 8 and then go down to number 1. And then Jared's going to talk about some old school NES franchise games. And since I'm old school, I'm going to talk about our Atari horror games. All right, so Pete, we're going to go to you first since you are a guest. So your number 8 is Ex Mortis.
So Ex Mortis was a game that I played when I was, I would say, about 10 or 11. And it's a Flash game on Newgrounds, which you could still play, even though they discontinued Flash Player. You have to download this program. It's free, but you could play it. And when I was really young, that was the first game I ever played where when I've heard the term chills up your spine, I didn't get that until I played that game. There was like this noise in this bedroom. So basically, okay. So you play as an unknown protagonist. You play as an unnamed protagonist in the woods. It kind of starts out like Blair Witch, like the woman at the ending. Spoilers, sorry. And you have to go into this house because it's raining, and inside this house is like dead bodies and all this blood and gore and like these puzzles you have to solve. It's kind of like if Resident Evil was a point and click game without the shooting. But there was this scene where like there's like this girl in the corner and you have to click on her to interact with her, and it just had this noise. It was so freaky. It sounded like those ghosts in Patrick Swayze's Ghost. It made like that kind of like, but
the demon ghost
screech,
or whatever.
Yeah, that absolute horrifying noise, and that's what it sounded like. But it sounded like it was like vibrating kind of. And when I was like 10, like I felt like the necks on my hair, the hair on my neck, like stood up, and it was absolutely scary. But that was a Flash game, like when I was really young, and they made 2 sequels, which they're okay. The second one's really scary. The third one, not so much.
Okay. Now number 7, we have Faith. Is this a game about George Michael?
So Faith is a game. Faith is a game by a company called New Blood, who I love so very much. On my wall behind me, I have they make movie posters and like retro kind of looking
That's cool.
VHS tapes. So I have them on my wall. So Faith is a game where it's actually Atari. It looks like an Atari game.
Yeah, I was about to say it looks.
And it sounds like an Atari game. So like everything sounds really warped and distorted. But basically, you play as his name is Father Ward. Funny, and you have to go to this house that you were summoned to because apparently something's happened to the daughter and the son, and the mom and dad are missing. So you have to. It's an absolutely, to me, it's super terrifying. And then there's Faith 2 and 3, which I mean, well, they're called Part 2 and 3, and 2 is out. That one's pretty scary because like it like taps into like the supernatural where like you get possessed, then you become unpossessed, and there's like supernatural like beings like wendigos and witches and stuff. And it's one of those games where like there's no music, so it's just the immersion of like, oh, what's gonna happen? And if something shoots out of the side of the screen, it's not like there's a buildup, it just happens. And it's absolutely scary, but I love Faith. I love that game so much. I wish they would like finish it. They've done Part 3 has been in demo for like a year or two, and it's like so bummed. I want them to finish it.
All right. So at number 6, we have Grounded, which you say it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids if it was a survival game.
So I was actually talking to my sister downstairs about this. So Grounded is not a horror game, but the reason I say it's one of the scariest games I've ever played is because, yeah, it's basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, a survival game, but the bugs are normal size. They're not so like, you see an ant or a fly or something, it's like, oh, it's really small, shoe or whatever. You are like the size of a grain of rice or like a crumb. So these things are gigantic. So like the spiders, especially, oh my, I just got goosebumps. The spiders, especially, because they'll make like little like noises, and like you'll hear them behind you. And there's like ladybugs, and there's ants, stink bugs, bumblebees, and like it doesn't sound scary, but like when you play and you hear all these noises and you're building a base because you got to chop down like grass and collect dew off of the grass to survive, drink water. It's pretty interesting. But the reason it's scary is because you have to go like underground to look for like metal and like all this stupid shit. And like, yeah, there's like spiders, there's black widows, there's praying mantises, and they don't make any noises. You like when you get bit or hit or something, it's so startling. But like me and my friends, every time we play, we are like on edge. We're like, all right, we're gonna go out in pairs of 2. And it's absolutely hot. It's super fun, but yeah, it's.
So is this like an online multiplayer game?
Yeah, it's an online 4-player. It's on Xbox right now exclusively, but when it's fully done, I think it's done or it's going to be done. Then there's they'll put it on the Switch and PlayStation.
See, that's like the one thing. I'm not a big online player. I like single stories. I don't like playing with other people. Do they have like can you play by yourself? Yeah. Oh, can you? Okay.
No, you can. It's up. So basically, have you ever played Minecraft?
No.
So Minecraft, you could create a world and you host it.
Okay.
So say like we play online together and you don't feel like playing online, you just turn the server off and you play that offline, and then you turn it back on. And then when I play, it's like, oh shit, Brian, you destroyed my house or something like that. Minecraft has that where you can make a world, create it, and it's like, oh, let me show my friends, and you turn it on. And yeah,
it reminds me of that Switch game that came out maybe at launch where people were all about it, like the Super Mario Maker or something like that.
Oh yeah,
where you got to build your okay. Yeah, to be honest, the only online game I ever played in my whole entire life was when Friday the 13th was released back in 2017, and I had to get it. I was a backer. Played it launch night. Of course, it was like bugged out the wazoo. But I had a good time because I played with other Friday the 13th fans, and then once like the physical copy came out. That's when all the kids started playing, and I just stopped. It was, you're killing me, you're killing me. Like,
Well,
what's
the
the point
people
of the
that made
game?
that are making the Killer Clown game.
Yeah, I'm excited. Jared, did you see this?
I did, but is it another 4-player multiplayer, or is there a
It's
story?
I think they said it's a 3 versus 8 or 3 versus 5 or something like that.
Like,
So
I think they're missing the ball with this. You're getting the rights. You can expand the universe. Star Wars does
Mhm.
it all the time. I want a horror story. Like, I love multiplayer. I play Call of Duty nonstop. So I'm not against multiplayer, but there's no story. You play for 15 minutes and then the game's over, you reset. I mean, with these franchises, like,
I mean, like, how
oh,
cool would it be to like have it? I mean, I'm sure there might be a level for multiplayer, like maybe you're
mhm.
actually in space, or how about you're on Clown World or something
yeah,
like
I
that.
know.
But it looks, I'm excited for that.
I think they did really well. I thought it was gonna be like, have you ever played Destroy All Humans? Where like you
Yeah,
place that.
yeah.
I think that would be awesome. Like you just like you could, you just capture humans, whatever, turn them into
Hmm.
cotton candy, throw them on a ship, whatever, sayonara, whatever. I think that would be cool. But I mean, I hope they do something like that because they did add a single player to Friday the 13th a little too late. But I
Yeah.
mean, I
But that was
hope,
more like you have to do certain kills, you
yeah.
know,
Wow.
which, yeah, which, and you have to do it within a certain time too. I didn't play it too much, but maybe, who knows, maybe when the lawsuit is finally over, I mean, it is, finished, but it's anything they do they have to agree on. But how cool would it be if Ilphonic and Gun Media came back and said, hey, let's do this, let's do a Jason X, where you're on the ship or whatnot. I know there's been like people have made their own stuff, but I think they got in trouble for doing that, right?
Yeah.
So I have that mod. It's called the
Okay.
Definitive Edition, and you can play Jason X, and I can play Tom Savini, and I didn't kickstart it. So you get Tom, so you get that one, you get Jason X, and you get Grendel. I think
Okay.
the name of the ship. So you
Yeah.
get that, but it is like it's just a bare map. Like they
Right.
obviously didn't work on it, but yeah, but I you can get in trouble if you stream it. If
Okay.
you stream it, you can get, but it's weird because I have streamed it
Oh.
before, but I haven't gotten in trouble because I'm not like, I only have like I have like 1,000 followers. Like, well, I'm lying. I have like 500 on YouTube, 300 on. It just sounds better when I say 1,000 collectively. So I've streamed it before, and I've gotten in trouble. But I'm sure if I ever hit that threshold, they'll go
Yeah.
back and be like, excuse me, 2 years ago you streamed this and you weren't allowed. But the thing I don't get about that is like, why, I don't get why they're against it. It's people are fixing your game for free. They're making it better for free, and you're like against it. Like I hate that. I don't understand that.
Right. All right. So number 5, we got Subnautica. Now, you went into detail about this with me, and I actually looked it up online, like Best Buy, and I didn't see the first one on like PlayStation, but I did see the second one.
So Subnautica, I love this game. If there's a game that I think hardcore gamers should play, it would definitely be that. I recommend this so much. It is a horror game disguised as a cutesy kind of survival game. So you crash land on this planet in a ship called the Aurora, and the planet is like 90% water, and you have to, dive. You have to build trying to think. You have to build a base, oxygen tanks, all this stuff. And while you're doing it, there's fish like sharks and squids and leviathans in the water. And like when I first played it, I'm like, oh, this is just some kind of cutesy underwater Minecraft. No, there are like giant, like there's called leviathans, but the reason it's scary is because it's like 40 or 50 hours to beat, and I've done it like 3 times because I'm a loser. And but the thing that's scary is that like the deeper you go in the water, it's kind of like real life. The sun obviously doesn't go that far, so it is just pitch black, and you hear noises, and there's things that slam into your ship, and once again, there is no music. So you just hear whooshing. You're looking around you. There's nothing. You're being stalked by like a shark and these aren't like great white sharks. These are like they look like they're from like Hellraiser. They look creepy. They look scary.
So we got sharks like in GIMP outfits.
So yes, exactly. Yeah, and they have whips and tassels and all that shit. And then there's dragons that breathe underwater, like breathe fire underwater.
Cool.
It's to me, it's one of my favorite games. It's in my top 5 personal.
Okay.
But as a horror game, well, as it's not horror, but it is because, like I said, it's survival. It's underwater, and you can't see past a certain level. And yeah, it's absolutely all my friends that I've convinced to play it have. Well, after they insult me, they say like, "Oh, this game is absolutely terrifying. Why didn't you tell me?" I'm like, "Because you watch me stream it and you say I exaggerate." And I'm like, "It's not. It's absolutely horrifying when you get slammed into by something."
All right. So number 3. Now I had to be honest. This game's been out for quite some time, and I never knew what it was until I read your synopsis. And so it's Five Nights at Freddy. So the first thing what's that?
Is that the one that's Oh,
I'm sorry. I don't know my math. I skipped. We're at number 4. We'll get to Five Nights at Freddy.
Yep.
But now Outlast, that's fairly new. I want to say it came out within the past like 4 years or so.
Outlast 2 did. Outlast 2 came out recently. Outlast, just in general, has been out for 5 or 6 years. So that is kind of like a found footage game where you're like a reporter and you have to go to a mental institution and it got abandoned. So you have to figure out why. It's a found footage movie It's a game where like you have a camera, you have to change batteries, and it like sometimes you have to go night vision, sometimes you don't. You have to sneak around corners. There's enemies with weapons and you don't have a weapon. So you have to be sneaky the whole time. And it's really good in the sense of like, if you're walking in water, like they could hear it and like the ripples in the water could hit them. And it's like, what was that? And it's like you have to like time everything right. And it'll get really tense because sometimes there'll be 2 people trying to look for you. And one's just staring at the corner where you are because it's dark, and the other one's walking by and he's about to bump into it. Gets really scary. Plus, there's a scene where there's 2 like big brolic like naked dudes, and they show. and I don't mean they don't have a thong. There's not a piece. It's like it's there. It's out. And it's like, that's scary because they chase you down. And it's like, I don't want to be Bubba. I don't want to be that guy. No. So you got to sprint your ass off. And when they get close to you, you're like, oh, hey, man. And it's like, no, I don't know.
So
the first, I never played the second one, though. I heard it's really good. But the first one to me was really scary.
So like if you happen to die during that scene, is like the end scene, like you drop in the soap and
like the safety word is like pineapple or something.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was great. Now is that can we find this anywhere to play if we're on a console?
I believe it's on everything. Okay. Except the Switch, obviously.
Right.
Because ain't no way little Timmy's going to turn that on and be like, why? What's that thing he has? Like, you know.
All right. So we're getting back to number 3, Five Nights at Freddy. So as I had said earlier, I knew nothing about this game until I read your synopsis. And the first thing I thought of was the latest, greatest film from Nicolas Cage, Willy's Wonderland. So is that pretty much what it is?
So, yeah. So Five Nights at Freddy's is, well, there's like, I think there's like 8 or 9 of them. There's a ton. I've beaten almost all of them. The latest one is that one would take a really long time. But the first one is you're a security officer at basically a Chuck E. Cheese. And it's basically red light, green light. And you have to like watch these cameras and you have to turn the lights on these animatronics so they stay still. But the other 3, while you're watching one, will come around other rooms and you have to know where to click. And it is absolutely tense. Like it like hurts your chest because like because your security doors are right here, and they could stand like right here. And when you turn the flashlight on, they'll like pop their face out and kind of smile at you, and it's like, nope, let me shut that door. And the thing that's scary about it is that there's a power limit. So when the night starts, you have to survive till 6 a.m, and your battery life, it must be a really cheap building because you only have like 6 hours of power, but if you use too much energy, the power will die and they'll just come in. So basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to put you, because whenever they see a human, they're like, oh, you look naked. We need to put you in an endoskeleton. So like when you die, they shove you in like a animatronic. So like your eyes like come out. It's pretty like creepy, but like the like when you delve into it, like I have like books behind me of it. I have pop figures I'm looking at on my wall because I'm a fucking loser. So when you get into it, it's there was a guy who killed kids and he put them inside the animatronics and it like crunched them, and then like their soul became that animatronic. So it's basically kids trying to like, I guess, kill other people because they died at a young age.
Right.
There's a whole like it's like a Usual Suspects movie storyline where like you have to like play each game twice with different mindset, and you have to read the books. There's a movie coming out by Blumhouse, which I'm excited about.
Really? Oh, nice.
Yes, I think for like, it was supposed to be Warner Brothers, but they took too long and they said F it. Then Blumhouse picked it up and they're like, well, we want to do something with that. I don't know when that's coming out, but the guy, Scott Cawthon, who does these games, said that it is officially that they are going to do a movie.
Now, is this a first or third person?
First. They're all first person. Trying to think. Yeah, they are. But the latest one is an open world mall that is Five Nights at Freddy's themed. And yeah, you have to go through the mall and there's like tons of these fucking things everywhere. And like you have to hide in like,
so it's like Chopping Mall for the 21st century.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, and it's crazy because like as a it sounds so as a PC gamer, each game is like less than a gig. Each game is like less than a gig. It's super small because it's just like 5 levels, or actually it's 7 levels. They're lying. It's not 5 nights, it's 7 nights. And it's all like 500 megabytes, 700, 800. One is a gig. And then this game was 120 gigs. And I'm like, what a spike. So like I had to delete like Warzone and Shrek 2, and I had to delete all these games. And it was but I mean I love the series. That one came out recently. I haven't beaten it, but I love the series like so much.
Nice. All right, so rounding it up at number 2, we have Fear, which I'm sort of familiar with. This I did play it when it came out on PlayStation 3. I think it was the very first one. I don't think I ever beat it though. It was okay, but it's your number 2. So
Fear is made by the company that actually made the number 1 for my spot, Monolith, and I think Sega had or whatever did something like that. But you basically play a point man or a soldier with a squad who die like right away. So it's really just you, and you go into a military base that's connected to like not connected to, but you go into a military base and you have to you find out that there's this little girl that looks like the Ring girl. Her name is Grudge, whatever, and her name is Alma, and she's like the supernatural being that's like controlling all these soldiers. Like all these soldiers are controlled by her, and there's a military group that want to control her, to control the soldiers, to make like this super like army of like super soldiers that it's a lot. But fear is like, and then there's like the Fear expansion called Fear Files, which was that's so fucking scary. Like that's where supernatural like beings will attack you, and you get pulled like through the ground, and like you'll get pulled like into other dimensions, and that one's pretty scary. Fear 1, just the ambience in it is amazing. It's really dark, and your character has this thing where he could like take like Adderall and he gets like really slow-mo. He doesn't take it. It's some superpower he has. I'm just kidding. He like you basically slow down time to like to shoot more accurate and to shoot faster than it's or sorry, it's not called slow-mo. They want to be different. Heightened reflexes was the term that they said because they don't want to be Max Payne. They want to, oh no, we're different. Our guy is much different than that, but yeah, Fear Files, the expansion was much scarier than the first game, but I love Fear like so much.
All right. Excuse me. And your number one, drum roll. Brrr.
Condemned. So Condemned Criminal Origin, I actually love the second one too. But the first one I thought was much scarier. Condemned Criminal Origins is where you follow a character named Ethan. Oh my god, Ethan Thomas. I almost said Ethan Hunt. You follow someone named Ethan Thomas, and he's a detective. And there's like a serial killer out there that's killing serial killers, and you have to like find out like you have to find all these bodies, and you have to track them down. You have like all these. You have to track down clues. And you have to go through all these buildings. And the reason that it's pretty scary is because well, it's just like everything in that game is like super close quarters, and like all the ammo you get is like limited. Like you can have like 2 or 3 bullets in a round, or like a like whatever in a clip, and if someone's in front of you and you're shooting at them, someone will come from the side of you and just knock it out of your hand, and you have to find a melee weapon, and you have to like melee combat everyone, and like they'll gang up on you. And you know, once again, there's like barely any music in this game. It's just like ambient like noise, and yeah, it gets really scary towards the end. You know, like you have to have a flashlight, and some of these enemies you can only see when you have a flashlight. Otherwise, like you just can't see shit, and you're just gonna get bumped all over the place. You know, you're gonna get tossed around like a rag doll. But Condemned was actually the first 360 game I bought, and I bought it on accident. I was actually trying to buy Sonic 2006, which that game is dog shit. So I'm glad I didn't get it. So I got Condemned, and I remember I think my parents were going to a parent teacher conference, and I was like, I'm gonna stay up all night and play this. And there's this one level. Oh, well, there's 2. There's one where it's a mannequin store.
Yes.
And yeah, and that is really creepy because some of the enemies, like they're like drug addicts, they pull apart the mannequins and they paste it onto their face, and they'll just stand still, and you have no idea unless you've played it. So like you'll walk by and one of them will just like pop you on the head, and it's so startling. And then like there's a scene where like you're going down a hallway and the mannequins will start surrounding you. Like they'll just start like closing the distance, and it's so scary. And like some of them will hang themselves, and it's horrifying.
And you could use mannequin parts to beat them down too, couldn't you?
You could pull their arm.
That's what
off.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. There's an enemy in the game. There's one enemy who is actually missing an arm.
Yeah.
So when you take off his fake arm, he'll hit you, and it's like Jesus Christ! Like it's something you are just not expecting it.
Yeah.
And then there's a scene. I threw my controller. There's a scene in a school where you have to go through like this abandoned school, and there's like a gym teacher. I don't know why the fuck he's still there, because the school looks like shit, but apparently he's there like doing, I don't know, Sudoku or something. And like there's like the serial killer's after him because apparently he was like a dickhead gym teacher or something. And he's like in a locker, and you have to take pictures of him. And I wasn't even thinking it when I was a kid. But like the woman you're on the phone with is like, can you take a picture of his face? I can't see it. And as soon as you pull the camera up, he like looks right at you. And like I threw the shit in the air. I was like, oh, that scared me. And then I had a sequel, which they said they were going to do a third game, but the second one didn't do that well. But the second one has multiplayer, and that's absolutely terrifying. It's just like it's like melee in the dark. You can't see anything.
Oh, wow.
So you're just like you're literally fist fighting people in the dark. And yeah.
I gotcha. Now, there was a horror game for 360 that I cannot remember the name of. All I remember, it might have been called The Darkness. But you would, is that that's where like the tentacles come yes!
out? Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was such a fun game because as you progressed, you became more, I guess, possessed with this thing, and you
Yeah.
got special skills with the slime.
You were Jackie Estacado. You were a mob member,
Yes.
and you pissed off your uncle because you didn't do a hit. So he left you for dead in this supernatural being. It is a man. You want to talk about a game that made me fucking mad? Because there's a scene where your uncle, like a third way through the game, your uncle kills your girlfriend, like right in
Right in
front
front
of
of
you.
you.
Yeah.
You're on the
Oh
other
my
side of the
God. I
glass.
was 15, bro. My face was getting red. I was like, dude, I just watched like Sound of Music with her. That was something that was cool. In the game, you can actually watch. I don't know if it's Sound of Music. I'm exaggerating, but there's some older movie you can watch with her in the game, and it plays through the game. I completely forgot Darkness existed, but I have that too. But that game, to me, it wasn't scary, but it
No.
was a horror game.
Yeah.
And that game was phenomenal because the way that you power up is eating your opponent's hearts.
Yes.
The tentacle will like stab it in the chest, and then like, oh, it's so gruesome.
Did you ever get to play the multiplayer for that on the early
Oh yeah,
Xbox Live?
where you could like turn into a darkling, and you
And
could
did
like.
you hear what those darklings would yell when they jumped?
No, I don't remember.
It was, "You're a pussy!" Doing that over and over again. Because me and my buddy Matt were playing. I'm like, hold the fuck up. What'd they just say? And then we turned the volume up and it's, pussy! As they're jumping around. I'm like, oh my God.
In Condemned 2, when you play the multiplayer, if you have a brick in your hand and you like hit someone, your guy will scream. He will curse. She was like, "Ah, fucker, bitch, cut, bitch," and like, dude, he has Tourette's when he specifically a brick. And every time you hit the guy, he's like screaming and cursing. Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, the Darkness. That game, another one that I was talking to my sister about downstairs, I didn't even think of it, is it's a game called PT, where it's on the PS4. It was supposed to be a Silent Hill game, and it was like one of the it meant playable teaser or playable trailer, and it is one of the scariest like pieces of media or games I've ever seen.
And it didn't get released though, right?
No, it was only a demo on the PS4, and it was like you could walk down a hallway, turn a corner, and it'll loop again. You have to do it again, and there's little things that change. But there's a woman named Lisa, and she's like this kind of like twitchy, kind of skinny woman, and like you'll be playing, and you'll hear like really like turn around, and if you turn around, she'll like grab you, and it's oh, that game is so scary. I never played it. I didn't own a PS3 or 4 at the time, but that's a game I've heard a lot of people say is really scary. As a demo.
I think Norman Reedus was in that, and
it was supposed to be a Silent Hill with him, and then they canceled that, and then he ended up doing Death Stranding, where he works for FedEx and he delivers packages. That's not that you do deliver packages. That is the game. It's stupid, and
that's why I didn't
Conan
get it.
O'Brien is in it too. Like what?
I think it was just really known. Really, what made it popular, quote unquote, was just the visuals. You know, not so much the game.
At the time, just like the way that the shadows hit the walls and the noises were, and like you could zoom into like certain things, and certain things will happen. It was, and then there's like one where like if you open the bathroom door, there's like a baby fetus in the sink, and it'll continually cry until you leave the hallway. Oh my God. I was like, I hate this game. Oh, I hate it. I've never seen it. I've seen people play it. I've seen playthroughs. I've never personally played. You can't play it anymore. It was like a 2-week thing. And if you have it on your system, then you could play it. But if you didn't have it, if you deleted it, then like, oops, sorry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sorry, Bozo. You don't get to play that game anymore.
All right. So that was Pete with his top 8. Thank you, Pete, for introducing us to some games, and maybe I'll go out and get a copy of Five Nights at Freddy and kill some evil animatronics, or maybe that's what you'll be doing in a couple of weeks, creating your own evil animatronics.
That's what I'm hoping I do. It's just funny because I did security for 6 years, so it's funny how the game is about a security officer that like works with animatronics. So that's now what I'm kind of doing, but I'm going to be programming them. So I'm going to program them not to eat me. So that's
or if
what
you
I'm
get
hoping.
really pissed off, you know.
Yeah,
kinda like
if
how
I
the-
like pour candle wax on them or something on a Tuesday and they get mad at me, like, no, sorry.
All right, so Jared, you were going to talk about the NES franchise games that you remember growing up.
Yep, the beautiful 80s. See, now, everyone tears apart two of my favorite NES games, and that's okay, because they're special to me.
But you know why they were torn apart? LJN.
Yes.
The worst.
Hey, I'm
Laughing,
not...
joking, LJN. Yeah, laughing, joking, numbnuts. AVGN said, I love AVGN. He reviewed those games.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's what made me want to play them.
I've
right.
watched every episode that dude's put out. I love that man.
Yep. I want to meet him at a con. He's one of the people, like, if he goes to, he won't go to a horror one, but he'll go to a gaming one, and I want to meet him.
He has, if you watch his podcast, he has an NJ HorrorCon trophy behind him. So I think he will go to HorrorCons. I mean, it's hard to
tomorrow.
It's that bloody jersey trophy. He's got it right behind him.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I noticed that in like 4 podcasts ago.
Okay.
But like, they're not good games. I will flat out tell you that. But I spent millions of mind-numbing hours on both of them. And here's the shocker. If you look behind me, I kind of have a Freddy problem. Friday the 13th was my favorite out of the two.
What?
Here's why. I was young, in a dark room.
Yeah.
Not really supposed to be awake. So you hear the music. You're going through the cabins that are horrible, 3-dimensional, one-step turns. And then all you hear is, Jesus fucking Christ. And then, like, a lot of times you'll be all right, but when he's in that little side corner and you're hitting that button like 3 times to turn around, and then he's there with the machete, that jolt used to scare the shit out of me when I was little.
You know, it's funny because you're a Freddy fan and you love the Jason game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Jason fan, but I like the Freddy game.
That Freddy game pissed me off because the start of the game is random. You don't know what building you can walk into. That used to drive me fucking nuts.
that was so I streamed both of them last Halloween. I think I had all counselors die on Friday the 13th just because the rock sucks ass because it goes over the enemies. So I played that for like an hour and I was like, fuck this. So I played the Freddy game and I liked it, but the same thing. There were doors that were closed that like you had to hit up on and you go up the steps and you pull you B and E that you break in and enter the door. But there's somewhere like a door is like out, like it's just completely open and you won't go in. While you're out here getting killed by cats and bats and owls and shit.
Yeah,
like you can't go in, you
zombies.
can't take cover in Mrs. Donaldson's house or some bullshit. You got to get out there and get shit on. Like,
it would have been cool if they, made it like the Dream Warriors, like you had powers. That would have made it.
There was a game out that Nightmare put out. It might have been on a later version of the Commodore 64 or a different kind of PC game, but there were Dream Warriors, but you were huge. Like, you were the size of houses walking around on this mini-map. Wow. I don't remember what system it was for.
I mean, you did have Dream Warrior powers if you fell asleep.
Yes.
Right.
If you fell asleep, you were doing, like, double jumps in the air. You were throwing javelins.
So, when you were in the real world, were you rolling around in a wheelchair?
You punched dogs and cats.
Yeah, you punched dogs and cats, and
you punch animals.
What did Loki and Dexter do to you?
you get...
No, yeah, exactly. You just start punching animals, like you're punching them in the face. You got to jump and punch bats out of the air. And then you had to collect like these bones.
Yep. You had to collect 20 bones per level.
Yeah. You had to collect 20 ribcage bones to create Freddy.
Yep.
Like it was kind of, I actually said it earlier. It's like Castlevania 2. That was a game that like, when I tried playing it and I couldn't get into it. I'm like, this game is stupid. But then once I looked up how to do it, I was like, I love this game.
Yeah.
That is how I viewed Nightmare on Elm Street. If you know what to do, it's fun. But if you don't, you're just going up, all right, can't go in that door. Can't go in that door. Fuck this. Like,
and you're half dead when you find a fucking door you can walk in. And here's the kicker. You need to hit all 3 houses before you can move on, but no one tells you that.
Yeah.
So you're
That was the
dying,
thing
head
with
down to
NES
the
games.
yeah.
That was the thing, was that
Yeah.
you had to figure it out. And if you
Yeah, you
died
didn't have
back
the
then,
internet.
back then with those games, if you died, it's like, oh, cool. Well, you get to try it again you get to try it all over again.
Yep.
There's no continuous. And if it did have a password, it was like 24 fucking characters with upper lowercase numbers.
I had a notebook with all the Mike
Zodiac
Tyson pass.
signs.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's how I
nice.
was with Mystic Riven. That was a game that my dad got me into.
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember those games. That's going way back. So speaking of going way back, since I'm old, I'm going to review two horror franchises that were on the Atari, and sadly, I never saw these in the video game stores, and there's a reason why you didn't see it in the video game stores. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, alone, the cover has me just like, wow, this is really cool. So you have like Leatherface running at you, and it's basically a screenshot from when he's chasing after Sally towards the end of the film. And then they have Pam like hanging on the hook like a silhouette. But then you have some guy, like he looks like James Bond on vacation with Walter PPK shooting at the silhouette of Pam. So I'm not unsure where that comes from. So this game actually is celebrating its birthday next March, March 14th, 1983. It came out. And I've only seen really the videos like Angry Video Game Nerd. It's very one-dimensional as Atari games were. But this is like a first though. You are Leatherface, which is really cool. And you're basically chasing around people with your chainsaw, but it looks like your schlong's out. So basically you're murdering trespassers while avoiding obstacles such as fences, wheelchairs, and cow skulls. The player controls the murderer, the objective to chase and kill him. And every time you kill someone, you get 1,000 points. And then you receive additional fuel at every 5,000 points. So basically, you got to kill 5 people. A life is lost when the player's chainsaw runs out of gasoline. Kind of makes no sense whatsoever. And then gameplay ends when the last tank of gas is consumed. So it's sounds kind of boring, which I would just buy it just for the cover alone. So this was one of the first horror themed video games. It did cause controversy when it was released because of violent nature. I mean, this is again early 80s. The parents, protesting anything that's not apple pie and all that good stuff. I can see like what was Bob? Who was it? Who was the woman, the future first lady? I can't think of her name right now. Was it Gore? Tipper Gore.
Tipper Gore, yeah.
Was protesting anything that wasn't apple pie. So this actually was created by the name of the manufacturer was Wizard Video Games, who would go on to create the Halloween video game, which was not well received. This actually came out October of 1983, and of course it's based on the 78 horror movie Halloween. The cover now kind of lackluster. It was an orange cartridge with Halloween written on it.
Handwritten. I'll never forget that.
Handwritten.
They hand wrote them with like Sharpie?
Yes.
Yeah, to save on cost. Yeah, so even though it's called Halloween, it has the theatrical poster as the cardboard cover case. It doesn't, and it has the theme music, which is kind of cool for Atari 8-bit Halloween theme. It has nothing to do with any characters or anything. There is no Dr. Loomis shooting them 6 times. So again, you're like in a house, and it's like just very bland. None of the main characters in the game were named. Players take on the role of a teenage babysitter who tries to save as many children from an unnamed knife-wielding killer as possible. So what are you running, like an orphanage, or like what is going on where there's an unlimited number of kids in this house? Another effort to save money, as again I said, they hand wrote Halloween on the cartridges. Basically, it was simply a piece of tape with Halloween written on it. The game contained more gore than the film. However, when the babysitter is killed, her head disappears and is replaced by blood pulsating from the neck as she runs around exaggeratedly. So basically, you think of a chicken with its head
Like a
cut off.
headless chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2-bit.
Yeah. The player takes points in two ways: by rescuing children and taking them to safe rooms located at both ends of each floor, or by stabbing the killer with a knife if it can be located. The player advances a level either by rescuing 5 children or stabbing the killer twice. The killer gets faster with each level increase, and the game continues until all the players' 3 lives are lost. So yes, there was controversy. Basically, again, it's a horror game. Many retailers refused to sell it, and for those who did, kept it behind the counter. Halloween, along with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, these games made this company go bankrupt. So Wizard Video Games were liquidating its merchandise. Some copies of the games were shipped and sold without a label, or even with a simple white sticker with Halloween handwritten on it. This led to more stores rejecting the game due to its appearance. Halloween did have a slightly better reception than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, although the limited number of copies sold has made both games highly valued items among Atari collectors. So I haven't looked on eBay to see what these things are going for. The one thing I did see that was pretty cool was on Etsy, you can buy like a reproduction copy of the box cover, which is kind of cool. I actually have something like that. This guy that I met through social media, he made horror games into like, basically he did the box art for like Sleepaway Camp. I think he did Candyman and maybe Hellraiser, but I really wanted the Sleepaway Camp because you have 2-bit Angela. So that's my old school review from an old school guy.
Well, I have an update for you.
What's that?
Atari 2600 Halloween 1983 authentic video game tested, $800.
Damn.
Jesus.
Does it have any bids on it?
No.
Okay, now go to like the filter and go to completed items and see if any have sold. I'd be curious.
It's funny you say that on Etsy because one of the things that people could do is they could get those cartridges. They could they 3D print like the cartridge, and then they just take like the chip, put whatever the game is on it, and then just slap it together. There's
I've seen that, yeah.
So there's some N64 games that I collect, and there's this one game called Clay Fighters 63.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It's the Blockbuster edition, and it's like 10 grand. And I was like, yeah, I'm all set. So I found a dude on Etsy who he 3D prints it and then he just puts it on there, and I paid him like $20.
Nice.
Like, because I was like, I'm not paying $10,000 for a shitty Blockbuster. That game is awful, but like I just wanted it just to. If someone's like, oh, I wish I had that game, I'm like, yeah, I got it, bozo. Like, really, like fool them. But yeah, now if they listen to this, they're like, oh, Pete's lying. He doesn't really have it. He didn't spend 10 grand on it.
So it looks like the Halloween game's going for around 200 to 300.
Okay,
but there is bids on this one. It's a 1983 sealed 8.0 CIB rare. The bidding's up to $10,100.
God damn, that's like a hardcore
29 bids.
That's got to be like a hardcore like Halloween movie franchise fan. And then speaking of
he really likes Ataris.
Yeah,
he just never moved on.
Oh, it's sold for $10,100.
God damn, that's ridiculous. I mean, speaking of like reproducing like game covers, I saw it a while ago and I forget who did it, but there was this person making like Super Nintendo box covers for like Scream. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So you're talking about the Super Nintendo one, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually a Scream game that he made. That person, I can't remember who it is, but they're making he makes a Super Nintendo Scream game.
Oh,
yeah, I can't. Okay. He had screenshots, or she had whatever. I'm not judging. Had like screenshots of like the game.
Of the game itself, or like movie stills?
No,
like,
it was the game itself. It
was
like
how
16.
Did it look? It was like a side scrolling.
It was like a side scrolling. Like you have to chase. I think he plays Ghostface, and you have to chase. I almost said Stacy Keebler. I can't remember the girl's name from Scream One. Who did Drew
Sydney?
Barrymore play?
Oh,
Casey.
Casey.
Yeah, Case. Yeah, Stacy Keebler. You have to chase her, and like you have to jump over these obstacles, and like if you like, because if she leaves the screen, she loses. I think that's what they were kind of going for.
Okay.
But I mean, it looks cool. But yeah, I think you get the movie and the game.
That's cool. Speaking of Drew Barrymore, so two friends that I have made through social media, and then in Blairstown, Carlos and Anthony, they went to the Mahoning. I think it was this past Saturday. They did the Craft and Scream double feature for Nev Campbell. So Anthony dressed up as the boyfriend of Drew Barrymore, of course,
Steve.
like all dead.
Yeah.
Steve, okay. And then Carlos dressed up as Drew Barrymore, right down to the bob, like blonde wig. And he said it was so funny because from behind, people were like giving him wolf whistles, and then we turned around. You're like, whoa.
That's awesome.
Man, this has been a very good episode, and I knew like we were in for some laughs. Whenever Pete's involved, you're gonna laugh.
Oh yeah.
So Pete, tell the listeners, the viewers. Now you're on social media, so where can we find you?
You could find me on Twitch. You could. I'm on Instagram. Once my camera focuses, I'm on Instagram. It's nothing horror. It's literally my initials. It's pward831, and then on Instagram. I said that on Twitter and Twitch and YouTube. It's Garen Blackwing. I actually streamed today, but I used to stream all the time, but I haven't because I've been busy with work and school, and I haven't really like focused on streaming. And I usually do my own podcast, but I haven't done that in like a year because, once again, I've just been busy with school.
I miss your podcast.
Oh, well, now I'm about to do one. And the way I'm going to, because there's few people that are like, bro, I loved it when you would because I think I did it every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, people are like, dude, it would catch me off guard when you're screaming. Like I would start it off by screaming I would just be like, hey, what's up? And it would just be me like absolutely. And like one of my buddies told me he almost like drove into like a ditch because he wasn't expecting me to scream. But I usually did like video game ones. Sometimes I do movies. I haven't done one this year. Like I said, I was doing school online. And I was all over the place with jobs, trying to figure out what I want to do. So, but now I might do it because Brian said that.
Yeah, you should do like a Pete's year in review, catch everyone up, and then
I thought about doing that, especially like of what games I've played, what movies I've played, and yeah, I definitely now I want to do it, but like I said, I've just been so busy. I haven't had
adulting sucks, huh?
Yeah, it does, especially like, when you're like, oh, I got my tax return. Oh shit, I have to renew the registration on my car. Awesome, man. I love that. Oh man, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I have Tums by the bedside because I had a mint for bed. Oh shit. Indigestion sucks.
Oh my gosh. All right, Jared, you want to take it away and close
we will
us
take
out?
it away. Pete, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you guys
we had
for
a
having
blast. Brian. Oh, this has been the Horror Shed Podcast, our first official episode.
Well, second official.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you why this is our first official, but it'll be our second episode. I made the mistake of going to a convenience store, and I won't say what it was, 822. But I had a sandwich, nothing spectacular. It was just a hoagie sandwich, and it didn't agree with me. So last night I had the sweats, and I messaged Jared, and I said, I can't hold anything down. We gotta, and I don't like rescheduling. But
That's
this
me
was-
every night. I have to take ginger pills to cool my ass down every day.
So
Yes,
but
adulting sucks.
It was a legit excuse. I feel much better. Actually, woke up refreshed, and it was like I woke up at like 5:30, and I'm like, I'm recording at 8 o'clock tonight.
That's right.
So yep.
Nice.
So our first official recording, but our second episode.
Yep. That's what we're doing.
Nice.
But this has been the Horror Shed Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, follow us on all the social medias. It's all the Horror Shed Podcast. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.
Say it.